What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another episode. Today we are making survival lures. Don't forget, if you haven't already, make sure you like and subscribe to this video, and make sure you hit that bell notification so you don't miss future uploads. Let's see what we're working with. Alright guys, so our very first lure we're going to be making is just a real simple jig lure. If you happen to have a jig head in your survival gear, it's a real simple thing to make. All you need is a jig head and some paracord and your knife and a lighter. Obviously, in a survival situation, if you don't have a lighter and you know how to make a fire, you can just use some heat from the fire to melt the paracord. So the first thing you're gonna do though is you're gonna line up your stuff, and you're gonna give yourself enough to make a little bit of a tail on your lure, and you're gonna cut your piece of paracord. Then you have a piece that looks kind of like that. Next, all you're going to do is take your lighter, just kind of melt the end a little bit. Just so it doesn't go anywhere. Next thing you're going to do is right here at the end, just fray that out a little bit. See all these little ends inside? Those are your strings. And kind of bunch this up so those strings kind of splay out the end. Now if you happen to have some paracord that's a little bit more brightly colored, you can use that. You're just going to kind of fray out your paracord here. Once you've got kind of a tail on there, just take your jig head, slide it through. You're basically just taking this paracord and making it into a little grub lure. Just work it down. And all you're going to end up with is your jig head, little piece of paracord on the end. That's your little fluffy tail on the end there. Then just to kind of make sure it doesn't slide off on you, just take your lighter, kind of heat up that end again, and just kind of push that melted paracord onto the top of your jig head, and just get it to stick. And that's it. Little jig head. Okay, so for our next lure that we're going to be making, another real simple one. Again, 550 cord, a couple of shiny beads if you have some in your little kit. You can use these. It makes it real nice and makes it show up really well. Take your 550 cord and just thread a couple of these beads on. There we go. Thread a couple of your beads on here. You're going to leave it just a little bit up at the top there. And you're going to thread your hook through. And where you're going to thread your hook through is you want that melted end to be at the top, so you're going to start from the top on these beads. And you're going to slide that hook through on the first one. Try not to hit that 550 cord. Get it hooked through. And do it again on the second one. Again, try not to hook that 550 cord so it doesn't hang up on you. If it does, it's not that big a deal, but it just hangs up a little bit on you. So then you're going to slide it up, leave yourself a little bit of space at the top, because that's where you're going to tie on your fishing line. And then it's very similar to the one we just finished before. So then you're going to want to again leave a tail. And just cut your 550 cord there. Again, make sure you leave a little bit near the top, right here. And leave that for your tail. And we're going to fray it out just like we did with our other little lure there. And once you do that, to keep this whole thing from coming apart when you tie it on, or you can do this ahead of time if you want, just run your line through, come from the back to the front. We're just going to do basically, I believe it's called a Snell knot. Pull it down, slide these beads down out of the way. Let's see if I can do this without too much trouble. start wrapping. Once we got quite a few wraps, throw this end piece through. And pull the whole thing tight. Because it's wrapped on there, that'll pull tight there. You can pull your beads up and just tighten the whole thing down without hooking yourself, hopefully. And then again, we'll just fray this end out, give you a good little tail on your hook. All those little pieces off that I frayed. That'll give these little end pieces here some space to spread out. Just pick it a little. Little survival lure though. And there you go. Another little simple survival lure. Pull that tight. And that's just not going anywhere. Alright, for this last one, what we're going to do, we're going to take our piece of wire. This is going to be kind of a little topwater popper. Just straighten out this little piece here. And what we're going to do, I'm going to bend it down. And then just kind of wrap it around itself, making kind of a little eyelet here. Once you got that twisted on itself, I want to measure down about halfway. You're going to fold your wire up. And you figure, okay, for that to come to there, and then you're going to loop it back and you're going to come back down, and that end's going to stick out the far end. Okay? So you're going to bend your wire, and you want to make sure you leave enough to make a loop that'll come back right about there. Again, we're just going to twist this. So what we're left with is something that'll kind of do this. You got a loop down here, and then you're going to measure it so that you can leave a loop for your end piece here. Don't do that until you get it all the way through, and then you can make your last loop. Next thing we're going to do, I'm going to mark on our cork with our knife. You're going to cut a slit about halfway through your cork. About like that. So if you see, I didn't cut all the way through. I just cut down to about halfway point and about a third of the way in. There we go. That's going to be our end piece. And we can probably cut right about here. Give myself plenty to make my loop. Now you just take your wire, just grab the end and start working that in, whoop, till you knock the camera over. All right, so now we've got our loop here, our loop here. We've got a piece of wire sticking out the front here. And that's going to end up being the front of our lure. What we do next is we take our bottle cap that we have, and we're going to punch a hole in the top. So you end up with a nice little hole like that you can feed the front end of your lure through, just like that. Next up, I'm going to take your wire and just fold it back on itself. Make yourself a nice little loop. And that's what's going to grab the water and make this pop. Twist it into place. That's what you're going to hook onto in the front. And you're going to put your hooks on the back there. Got some extra treble hooks here. See if I can get these rings to work out for me here. working around the camera is a little more difficult. Hopefully this stays in focus for you guys. Now the big question is am I gonna hook myself or not? Let's hope not. Alright, there's one. Let's get the other one hooked on here. Alright, and hook this other one on. And that's pretty much it right there. You got your 2 hooks. You got the front of your popper. It's going to make it top water pop. It's going to float. Now, since we are at home, I'm going to get the hot glue gun going. I'm going to put a dab of hot glue there, and I'm going to put some eyes on this thing and put a couple little shinies on it, and then it'll be done. Alright, so there it is. Just glued some googly eyes on there and then put 2 little flashy beads on the sides just to kind of draw attention to it, because it's going to be floating on top of the water, so everything's going to be down below. I figured I'd put a little sparkly stuff down there. But there you go. A little top water popper. And then our 2 different jigs. A little kind of a fly looking jig lure. Lighter weight and a heavier jig. We're going to put all 3 of these to the test on our fishing trip. So we will let you know how those do. We'll find out if these things will catch or not. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you got something out of it. Hope it inspired you to do something of your own and make your own lures. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you down the line.